Hello booktube, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, and I've had a few new subscribers, welcome. I'm Marilyn and I'm an anxious reader. So if you watched my last video, it was a book haul and it was mood reading on steroids. Well, I'm calling it that. It was actually called something like a weird comfort book haul. But my brain is wired in such a way that when I'm under stress, whether it be good stress, bad stress, or neutral stress, I turn to comfort books. And those comfort books can change depending on what stage of life I'm in. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit hoarse. That's part of my stress also. So what was the stress? I won't really go into it again too much, but I thought you might want to know there's a new member in our family. My daughter's fiance arrived from another country, from the Philippines, and she's lovely. But I started getting ready for a new person. My house is small, and that's where the stress started coming from. And then so that was the good stress. The bad stress was I had a lot of medical testing. I mean, they tested everything, and some of it was painful. So far, so good. So that's good. I should have sort of let my stress come down. But stress isn't like that. You know, anxiety isn't like that. Sometimes it takes a while. And then there's the neutral stress. Neutral stress, my voice is kind of weird. I haven't been sleeping. I guess that's bad stress, but I'm so used to it, I call it neutral stress. But so what happened? What happened after that book haul? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So my very specific genre at the time of all the stress was happening was decluttering. Like I said, I was trying to make room for my new member of our family. And of course the wedding is happening, and that's more stress. Like I said, good stress, but it's a wedding, and planning for a wedding is stressful, especially like when I said I'm one of the main planners, because we have a small family. I have a small family. But what was interesting was that right after I did the book haul, I went to the library, or my daughter did, and there was a whole lot of books in that decluttering, minimalism, genre, kind of a self-help kind of genre. And I laughed because I had just talked about how many more books that I had went down the rabbit hole to get. But I did get some comments that maybe you're not interested in that specific genre. So I'm going to leave those books to the end of this video, and I hope you will watch, because I did find out some very funny, interesting things about the genre. But what happened, and what was good about going down that rabbit hole, was that I read all those books. I was able to concentrate, have fun, read all of those books, and even dip my feet into some of the events that happened, because this is October already, that happened in September. So I'm going to talk about that. So that sort of cleared my palate. So that was great. And I want to talk about some of the books first that I'm hauling in this video. So now I had these books. I got these suggestions from other booktubers, from reading, from just everywhere that you go to get, even from library searches. And the first book I want to talk about, because I know nothing about this book, is a book by Richard Yates, and I never heard of him. And this is 3, I guess they're not short stories, maybe novellas, and one is called Revolutionary Road, The Easter Parade, and 11 Kinds of Loneliness. Now, the book that I heard of was 11 Kinds of Loneliness, but this book that I was able to get from the library has all 3 of his books. Let me just show you. It's not a very pretty. It has a picture of him, and I knew nothing about him. So I'm just going to read a little bit of the introduction that doesn't do any spoilers. It says, Richard Yates, 1926 to 92, author of 7 novels and 3 collections of short stories, was the poet laureate of the Age of Anxiety. Ha! Maybe that's where it came from. The Age of Anxiety, a master purveyor of the crushed suburban life of the great con known as the American Promise. I think that's all I really want to know about him right now. But there is one of these books is the Easter Parade, and one of the characters, there's a quote, "All she could muster was the weak, meek little phrase she had hated herself for using since childhood." I see. That got me interested. And if any of, I don't know who recommended this 11 Kinds of Loneliness, but I'm interested, and I think I have the wherewithal to start reading one of these books. So if you've read any of them and you think that I would like any one of them more than the other, let me know. The other book that I took out of the library before all this stress happened, and I said, no, I don't think I can read this at this particular time, but I love it. I love the thought of it, and the cover, and it's an illustrated. I would say it goes into the graphic memoir genre of books that is becoming very popular. And this is called, and I got this, I'm not sure who, one of my good friends on booktube, she hauled it and I got it out of my library. And it's called Belonging, A German Reckons with History and Home by Nora Krug. So let me show you the book so you can see that this is going to be very illustrated. And she has, and too bad that the due date's messing this book up, but she has like caricatures of all of her family. And I'll show you just some of the really, really graphic, beautiful graphics. So what is this about? It says what it is. It is what it says on the tin about a German younger person from a newer generation reckoning with what her grandparents went through during when the Nazis were in Germany and what happened during that time. As a Jewish person and going through stress, I felt I couldn't read it, but I really liked it. I liked the idea of it. And here's a picture of her. And I just wanted to get to know her. I just wanted to know her. Anyone who goes to this much trouble, and it says it's Belonging is a heart-wrenching, suspenseful, and fascinating odyssey that straddles and seeks to uncover an uncharted, inaccessible, unfathomable past. It is a kaleidoscope of interrupted lives leading to its ultimate conclusion. I couldn't stop reading it. And that was said by Hava Beller, director of The Restless Conscience. And so her drawings and visual narratives appeared in publications, the New York Times, The Guardian, and Le Monde Diplomatique, hope I'm saying that right. And her short-form graphic biology, Kamikaze, was included in the 2012 editions of the Best American Comics and the Best American Non-Required Reading. She lives in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, so I knew there was something about her I liked, just kidding. So I think that this book would be a little hard for me to read if I was going through stress, because I did lose family members. I'm old enough to have lost, sort of known, I knew that they existed during the Holocaust. So it says, from the notebook of a homesick emigre, and it said, things German. I love this first page, and I said, I want to read this. So she talks about Hansaplast is a brand of bandage developed in 1922. My mother applied it to my bleeding knee after a roller skating accident when I was 6. Next to my mother, Hansaplast was the safest thing in the world. And then she goes through, I think she talked also about Birkenstock shoes, but I'm not sure if I read this in another book. But yeah, then it got a little heavy, and it says 16 times on the edge of the gas chamber, 16 times escaping immediate death by a hair's breadth, 16 times seeing others walk to their deaths while you must live. And there's just real pictures. So this is not only a graphic memoir in the sense that it's going to be illustrations, but there's going to be a lot of real stuff in this book. So I don't know if I'm going to read it. I might bring it back to the library and then take it out again. I'm not sure. So, okay, so those are the two books that I'm hauling. I already talked about the Babysitters Club, which was my is my attempt at finishing Shorty September, and I read the first chapter, and now I understand why this is such a popular series on booktube. I really enjoyed this book, and I almost wish that I was young enough to have read this when I was of age. But I'm definitely going to finish this. My voice is kind of croaky, so I think I took some lemon tea, and I'm going, well, not lemon tea, but I'm going to talk about something related to that in another book. So in September, there was also another event, readathon, and it was called Framed in September. And my very good friends, Lindy from Lindy's Magpie Reads, Elizabeth from Bookins and Books, and Hannah from Hannah's Books, and there's others. I just want to tell you who the other people were. I think his name is Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, and Heather Gregg 9975. They created this Framed in September, where we read books about art, and I'll have all of the, if you still want to do it, because why not? We don't have to stick to September to finish everything. We can do it in October, right? And I'll just say that my foray into the weirdness that is the self-help genre of clutter books got me into these books. So yeah, I'm going to tell you about it now, but I had to tell you that it was because of the decluttering books that I got into it, because first comes decluttering, then comes minimalism. After minimalism, well, you got to put something in your house, right? And what can you put in your house but decorating books? Now, and decorating is an art. And from what I gather, what we were supposed to do for Framed in September was to read a book about art. Of course, like I said, I wasn't really up to anything in September, but let me tell you, by the end of September, I was already looking at my shelves, and I found The New American Dream: Living Well in Small Homes by James Gower, photographs by Catherine Tigg, and they're just gorgeous books. And maybe some of them might be less cluttered than others, and maybe you have to be rich. But I used to love to read decorating books, even when I couldn't afford, a cardboard box and to sit on. So this was my comfort reads back in the day. And this was not really back in the day, this book. So this book, let me just see when it was written. What? I got $5. I opened the book and there was $5 in it. I promise you, I did not plan that. But hello, that's mine. So this was 2004. And I must have bought this, I'm positive that I bought this at a library sale. And I just enjoyed looking at the beautiful pictures and realizing that, hey, if I'm taking everything out, I want to know what I'm going to put in. Okay, so the other book I've had on my shelf for so long and did not realize that this has become an historical relic. I'm not joking. So this is called New York Notebook, a blank book with useful stuff in it by Lori Rosenwald. And okay, a lot of these places that she talks about in New York are no longer there. It's a different New York. So, but to know the New York that I grew up with is really was really satisfying to me. And she is such a wonderful artist. I'm trying to show you. She has New York everything. And so she was saying, one day I called the world famous Apollo to see which train I should take to go to the amateur night. And the box office lady started singing, "Take the A train, da 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 da, take the A train." And this is a book that I sort of, yeah, I looked at it, but it's really something where you can make art, you can write. Writing is my artistic, hopefully, talent, so I don't draw, but to see her drawings, and she has almost advertisements, best car. I mean, this is just, I believe, I found it on, this was my copy that I got when new, but I found it on there is one on eBay and probably other places. And she did write other graphic books, but this one I had to read to you just because. It's called The Haitian Cab Driver Cold Remedy. And here's the cab. And you know, I even think that the yellow cab is going to be a relic. And she says, okay, Haitian cab driver cold. Take 12 limes, cut them into quarters, put in saucepan, add New York City tap water, the best, to cover, bring to boil, then simmer until limes are totally mushy. Add enough sugar to make the thing drinkable and simmer some more till it's a syrup. Strain and drink it as hot as you can stand it. So I think that was just timely in a certain way and fun, and let me tell you, useful to me. Though I didn't use sugar, I used honey. But yeah, at the time that I bought this, I thought maybe, yeah, I thought maybe it was a waste of money. So what is it about really? In the city with too much of everything, 219 highly personal choices, secret places with no signs. The Haitian cab driver cold remedy, Danish modern help for insomniac vegetarians. I mean, New York does have it all. Even now, it has it all. And I think I'm going to make some art. I think I'm definitely going to make my kind of art, which is probably writing and stick figures, but that's okay. Well, if you've been here up to this point, you're in for a treat, because I'm going to talk about my clutter-free journey. Well, in books, anyway. So I've come to some conclusions, and I'm going to show you the books. Some of them I showed you before, but with a little bit of joyful review in it. Now, I call these the OG. This is the main OG, Don Aslet. He died on my birthday or close to it, this August, and he wrote Clutter's Last Stand and For Pack Rats Only, and it does have illustrations. And I'm wondering, so it was illustrated, and I didn't tell you this before, by Craig Ligori. So he didn't do all these wonderful illustrations, but I call him the OG with maybe a touch of, if not religion, of being a moral person. And that's what I got out of Don Aslet, that he was a very good person who really wanted, he grew up on a farm, and I'm thinking it's Nebraska for some reason, but he grew up on a farm, and he was a pack rat, and he started a business cleaning houses. And I told you this before. And he figured out that the houses that were hardest to clean were the cluttered ones. So then he started his new career. He started a lot of businesses. He was very successful. And and I talked about this before. So I call him the OG. All right, so he's the OG. Then we'll talk about the books by what I call people who are more of a religious bent, and is more minimalism. And this book is called The Minimalist Home by Joshua Becker. He also has a book called Author of More of Less. And he's the founder and editor of Becoming Minimalist, a website that inspires over 1 million readers each month to find more life by owning less. And he also has a nonprofit organization that helps orphans around the world. So if this is more of a minimalism book, and I enjoyed it. I didn't read the whole thing yet, but he has a lot of religious references in it, and one had a meaning to me because it's about Hawaii. Anya is a nurse, wife, and mother who decluttered her home in Hawaii. She loves how her family's home has become much more open and easy to maintain, but more came out of her minimalism home makeover than just that benefit. She wrote to me, realizing that my time does not need to be spent on possessions has been liberating. I noticed that when I had more time available, I had to define where life passions were. So he's saying that minimalism doesn't guarantee you find more meaning, but it does always open your eyes wider to the issues and create a context where you can think through them better. That's what happened to Anya, and she was determined to get it right. So she let go of her possessions. I was much more likely to share my time and finances with others. So this is more of like giving charity, and she wanted to use her nursing skills to care for undeserved populations in foreign countries. But each time the thought had faded. She had her job first with the U.S. military and then with a private medical practice. She had bills to pay and things to take care of at home. So in the summer of 2017, after she refocused because of minimalism, she joined a team to provide medical care to poor families in Honduras through the nonprofit Friends of Barnabas. So you get the picture. So there's tons of books like this, and they're interesting. I really think they're interesting. They might not be for you, but they're interesting. Then we go more to the minimalist dudes, and I didn't get too many of those, but this guy calls himself, and this book has very high ratings. I looked it up, and it's Unstuff Your Life by Andrew J. Mellon, aka Virgo Man. I'm a Virgo, but I don't have those tendencies. He's a professional organizer and life coach, featured widely in the media, in the Oprah magazine, etc., etc. And please visit the author's website, virgoman.com. But it's kick the clutter habit and completely organize your life for good. And it's more if you really want the step by step, and a lot of them do that step by step kind of. If you do this, it's definitely going to happen. But yeah, I suggest you read this book. I haven't read all of it, but I read a lot of it. Then there's a book I haven't read at all, and it's called The Abundance of Less, by Lessons in Simple Living from Rural Japan. Now, I lived in city Japan, but I thought this was sort of a book that's combining culture, different cultures. And I know that there was a book, and I'm going to try to find the name of it, where people, and it was mentioned in one of these other books, that people would, there was a book that came out with everybody's possessions in front of them, all in different parts of the world, and you'd be surprised how little possessions that people can really live without. And I'm not saying that this is like that, but it does say sustainable living, personal growth, anthropology. So this is getting into that. So one of the blurbs says, in the world where so many of us are rushing around stressed and pressed for time, the abundance of less is a welcome reminder that there are other possibilities. And the author takes us along as he visits 10 people who have created lives in the slow lane, lives that are rich in creativity, environmentally sustainable, and deeply meaningful. So this might be religious in a different, more Buddhist way. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't read it, but he captures the texture of sustainable lives well lived in these 10 profiles of ordinary yet exceptional men and women who left behind mainstream existences in urban Japan to live surrounded by the luxuries of nature, art, friends, delicious food, and the abundance of time. This sounds really good, actually. My degree when I went to college was intercultural communication. Somebody said, oh, that's a new degree. I said, yeah, because I didn't go to school right after I graduated high school. Well, that's another story about graduating high school, because I was thrown out of high school in my senior year because I got married. Just married! That was the way it was in the 60s. But I did go back to college in my 30s. So I went to a school that I thought would be good for mature people. And intercultural communications is more of a reading, writing, and culture, learning about cultures, learning about different cultures, and trying to be understanding of and learning to communicate through those cultures, which I did through, not that anybody's interested, but I did through the court system as a liaison. But anyway, so then we get to the really interesting subgenre of decluttering books. Before I get to that, though, I wanted to say that I didn't read this book. It's How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind, dealing with your house's dirty little secrets. And I'm not sure which subgenre this decluttering, but it seems more of having a lot of children or having some children and having to deal with your house. And believe me, I've been there, done that. Not well. I also wanted, before I talk about the bad guys, well, I shouldn't say that, talk about my favorite books that really gave me joy, and really I'm rereading them, and that's The Joy of Less. I talked about this the last time. A Minimalist Guide to Declutter, Organize, and Simplify, and Lightly. How to Live a Simple, Serene, and Stress-Free Life. They're both by Francine Jay, and she's called Miss Minimalist. And please don't get her confused with the next lady, the next author I'm going to talk about. What I loved about these books is that they're authentic. Whatever she talks about, she's living the life. She's not just trying to write, make a living on this. And not that she might not be making a living. And I talked about it before. She writes about living with less at her website. I don't even know if her website is still on, missminimalist.com. And she's helped hundreds of thousands of people declutter their homes and simplify their life, which is what the others do. But for some reason, this struck me as being the best of the lot. Now, shall we get to the worst of the lot? Okay. Now, I talked about The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, but I hadn't read it all the way. And it's by Margaret Magnusson. And as I told a friend, until I see a picture of her and an article and an interview with her, she would be 85 now, and I don't believe that she wrote this book. I really don't. Now, this is a bestseller, so I shouldn't really, talk about it. I said that if she wrote it, I don't like her very much. But now I want to say this in a very delicate way. I almost said it last time, indelicately, because this is a G-rated channel. At least I don't swear on my channel, but she talks about decluttering things in a bedroom. Let's say if you have 15 things that I can't mention, saying the word, but you should get rid of all 14 of those sexual items and keep one of them. And I'm thinking, maybe in Sweden, and I heard that people are more forthright, but 15? I said, no. And not only that, but it's the things in here aren't jiving to me. So I thought this was going to be the worst book. But I have to really check on this to me. I'm not going to say someone had a ghostwriter if I'm not sure. So I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say that this book did not work for me on many levels. And then we come to the piece de resistance, which is a downright dirty, I don't like to say dirty lie, but not true. This is Minimalista. You would think it's a Minimalista, right? Your step-to-step guide, listen to this, better home, wardrobe, and life. And I said, oh, that's good, a minimalist book. And then I started looking at some of the things that she's saying to do. I'll just show you one that really made me think, okay, here she is making her bed with 6 pillows. And I'm saying, well, didn't I read in the other decluttering books that beds have too many pillows and we don't need that many pillows and that many linens and this much furniture and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I read in the back, so this is written by Shira Gill. She's a home organizing expert, author, speaker, and founder of 15 Min Win Productivity Hack. But this is the reason why I say she's a phony. I shouldn't say liar, I say phony. My go-to sources for every room in your house. And she has entry, sturdy hooks, June Home Supply, open bins, the basket room, a vessel for mail, connected goods, a catch-all for keys, change, doormats, IKEA, living and dining rooms. So I looked at furniture first because I'm getting rid of a lot of furniture. And she has design within reach, crate and barrel, finished design shop, throw pillows and blankets, cozy area rug, table and it goes on and on. Bedroom, high quality linens, pillows and throw pillows. And I looked up some of these places and they're expensive. So is she really Minimalista? I'm not sure. So be careful when you get out there if you really want to learn about minimalism or decluttering, because let me tell you, there's a lot of phonies out there. And even on the web, we have to be careful. Before I let you go, I wanted to talk about a book that was given to me by one of my subscribers, my friend, and I don't have it with me. He sent it to my Kindle, and I thought it was the name. I didn't like the title. It said 21 Ways to a Happier Depression by Seth Swinsky. I'll try to have a copy of it. But I tell you, I finished reading this book and it just made me happy, because it was the kind of self-help book that just was fresh, new, easy, and it was also about anxiety as well. It wasn't only because I don't suffer from depression, just anxiety. So I thought that, wow, what a way to just end this month, start anew, fresh, with that wonderful book. And I'm going to read it over and over again. I hope you're still here. Thank you so much. Please give this video a like. I really do appreciate it. And subscribe if you're interested. So what happened next? I feel better, and I'm ready to read some more and to become more involved in October. Hello, Victober. So I'm really happy that I read all of these books, because it brought back to me how, when I was all alone, when I was young and really struggling, how these self-help books helped me through life's turning points. There was a book, Childbirth Without Fear, which I read fearfully, but still, if you have no one to help you, self-help books can be good. And then also it got me into travel books. So I'm ready for Nonfiction November, let me tell you. I think I already read enough to make Nonfiction November finished. I'll never finish. I love nonfiction. I always did. I always turned to nonfiction to help me when I was struggling. And sometimes books are the best way to get through something, to learn something. So anyway, until we meet again, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all a joyous week. And of course, in Hawaii, aloha, hang loose.